Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you friends for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have two great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Imagine being so stupid that you decide, I think I'll go to jail today for attacking a random person for no reason. The second story. I got rid of those horrible lying thieves and freeloaders. The first story. Entitled coworker and boss try stealing my money, but I get them both fired. I work as a lifeguard at my high school pool. I started my job when I was 15 and a sophomore, and most of the other workers were older than me. I wasn't supposed to get the job until the next year, but because I had been a swimmer for most of my life and completed the training classes early, the aquatics director, who was friends with my parents, allowed me to start earlier. Because I was younger than the other lifeguards, some of them tried taking advantage of me and tried to get me to do the dirty work, such as cleaning the locker rooms or the bottom of the pool. Most pools have a machine for this, but our school doesn't have one, so you literally have to take a giant broom with a long handle and hold your breath and scrub the floor of the pool. At first I was glad to help them because I wanted to be on their good sides, but then after a while it was clear that they were just using me. This one girl in particular, Ellie, was a star student and teacher's pet. She was also valedictorian even though she acts like a complete idiot when the teachers aren't around. One time she asked me to fill in for one of her shifts. I was already at the pool because I stayed after school for swim practice. The pool opens for the public 30 minutes after the swim team finishes. I said okay even though I'd already done a morning shift that same day because I didn't want to give anyone a reason to hate me. So I sat through the shift and then closed up the pool when I was done. When I got my paycheck that week, I noticed that I wasn't getting paid for the shift. I filled in for Ellie. We keep a calendar in the lifeguard office where we can fill in what shifts we work, so the manager must have given her the pay for the shift, since her name was still on the shift I worked for her. I talked to the manager, who completely hates me for some reason, and he said since there was no evidence that I worked for her, I wasn't gonna get the money. It was only $10, and I wasn't too desperate for money at the time, so I just let the matter go for the time being. The next week, Ellie called me again and asked me to fill in for her shift, claiming she had a big test to study for. The pictures I looked at later on her Snapchat contradicted this fact. I said no because I also had homework to do, and it wasn't me who signed up to work when I knew I would be busy. Ellie just said I guess we have to close down the pool tonight if nobody's going to work then. I knew the manager would be furious if this happened, so I begrudgingly took her place again. This time I called the manager telling him that me, not Ellie, was working that night. He said okay, but it didn't sound like he was paying attention. This kept going on for days and days. She would keep calling me asking me to work her shifts on top of my own, always having some BS excuse, and a guilt trip of why I should do it. Most of the time I did it, or at the very least called one of my lifeguard friends to do the shift for me. Each time we called the manager telling him we were doing this. However, Ellie again got paid for the shifts we worked. Me and my friend talked to the manager and told him that we called him before working Ellie's shifts. He says that we don't remember this, and we were making stuff up, and since Ellie's name was on the calendar, she was the one getting paid. This time I wasn't going to give in. I was going to get paid for my work one way or another. I stopped answering Ellie's calls, so she was forced to text me. The great thing about texts is that they can be screenshotted. As an extra bonus, I took pictures of myself in the lifeguard uniform sitting in the high chair at the times I was there, and before I left and had some guests say I was there too. The manager said I didn't have evidence. Well, now I had it. They couldn't say I wasn't working now, and I was going to get back all the money I earned. One day that week, I had accidentally left my AirPods in the lifeguard office, since I had come in that morning to work. I still had a key, so I decided to go and get them after school. Obviously, I wasn't expecting anybody in there since swim team practice wasn't going to start for another half hour. So I unlocked the door and walked in and saw something that I can't get out of my head. On the lifeguard's office laid Ellie and the manager having sex. I definitely did not see that one coming. I didn't even grab my AirPods. I just slammed the door behind me and ran out of there as soon as I could. I went into a bathroom stall and started hyperventilating. What the heck did I just walk into? The manager was like 25, and Ellie was still a high schooler only 17 or 18. And besides that, why the hell would they pick the crappy old couch in the lifeguard's office where they were bound to get caught? I was completely shocked and disgusted that I just called my dad and went home. I didn't even think I could walk into the office without feeling sick, so I asked my sister to grab my AirPods for me while she was at swim practice. When my sisters came home from swim practice, they asked what was wrong. I told them what I saw, and about how it finally made sense why the manager was defending Ellie when she clearly wasn't showing up for work. My dad heard about this too and called the aquatics director to set up a meeting. Sadly, since I was the only one who saw it, I had to come too, but at least this was the chance I was looking for to get compensated for the work I did without getting paid. The meeting included Ellie, the manager, my parents, the aquatics director, and me. I had taken the night before to gather up all the texts and pictures I had to prove I was working in Ellie's place without pay. But first I had to recount what I had seen them doing that day. That alone was enough to get the manager fired for having a relationship with a student. But I wasn't done. I wanted Ellie to pay for all the time she played me for a fool and took advantage of my niceness. Well, I was done being nice, and I wasn't gonna let her get off easy. Cut through the meeting. I managed to get both the manager and Ellie fired. I just loved the look on their faces when a little 15-year-old girl was what got them in trouble. They thought that nobody would believe me, but the principal took everything I said seriously. I didn't get paid for all the days I worked for Ellie, just the ones I had evidence for, but I consider that a victory still. From now on, I make sure to write my name in Sharpie on the calendar, just so it's clear. And if somebody wants me to work for them, then I let them get in trouble. Thank goodness the school removed the couch from the lifeguard office. I mean, it's sad because it was kinda comfy, but I could probably never sit on it again knowing what went down on it anyways. I'm glad they did that, so that I don't have the constant reminder of what I saw. I have a new manager now and she's actually nice to me, and now my sisters are lifeguards too. For once, I think I actually enjoy my job. The second story is, Karen rips off my headscarf, wants me arrested for assault, attempts to pepper spray a cop. Some relevant info. I'm pale and at the time walked with a cane. I have a condition where my heart rate can get too high, and my blood pressure can drop and I can pass out from standing too long, usually, but anxiety can bring on episodes too. I wear a headscarf on holidays and special occasions. Now there are many types and styles of headscarves. On this day I was wearing it in a style where it's completely covered my head and then draped around my neck and was secured with pins. I use dressmaking pins. They're not very visible in the scarf, but they do not have anything covering their pointy ends. I make sure I place them so they'll hold the fabric in place and not stick me. Since it's a holiday, I'm also wearing a traditional clothing. A long skirt, a white shirt with some embroidery on it, and a fabric belt. This also happened right after the 2016 election. My college town went from one Nazi group to 3 literally overnight. They would come onto campus a lot to harass us. The racists were very emboldened at that time. This was maybe a few weeks after, where stuff had calmed down a bit, but it was still pretty bad. I made the mistake of going to Walmart alone, in traditional clothing. So I'm going around the Walmart picking up a few things. My backpack is in the front of the cart, so I don't have extra weight on me. I'm standing at one of those aisle ends. I was trying to find something, and had to look up where it was on my phone. Out of nowhere, my headscarf is ripped off my head, as someone behind me yells "Terrorist B." Luckily, the scarf only had the end around my neck, so it pulled on my neck but didn't full-on choke me. Still, this definitely activated my fight-or-flight response. The woman, Karen, then starts screaming as I turn around. Apparently one of the pins had stuck her when she ripped my scarf off. She's screaming that I'm a terrorist, I assaulted her, she wants the manager and the police called, etc. This couple had been down the aisle and saw it happen and ran over. The woman, NW, kinda threw her sweatshirt on my head and got between me and Karen. I was panicking at first, but realized she was trying to help cover my head, and the man with her, NM, had also gotten between us and was yelling at the Karen. The NM grabbed my scarf back and handed it to NW, who handed it to me, and she took her sweatshirt and held it up around my head to sort of block people's view of my head while I tried to get my scarf back on. The Karen is still screaming that she wants the police to arrest me for being a terrorist, for assaulting her, and how dare he. She's digging through her purse to find pepper spray because she wants to spray me and the man. Honestly, I didn't even wrap my scarf properly. I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. A nearby employee had come out of an aisle to see what was happening and ran off. To get the manager, I'm assuming. The NM is yelling back at Karen and had confiscated the pepper spray from her. Karen is screaming that I'm a traitor to my own race, along with her earlier insults, and is demanding that the NM pin me to the floor so she can pepper spray me and do a citizen's arrest and keep me there until the police and FBI arrived. She is adamant I'm a terrorist. So at this point I'm shaking and crying. My heart rate is extremely high, and I know I need to leave or I'm gonna pass out. The NW asked if I wanted to leave. I nodded, she grabbed my backpack and the arm that I'm not holding the cane in, and she quickly walks me down the aisle and out of the store. We just left my cart where it was. She asked me where my car was and I tried explaining that I'm a college student and have to wait for the bus, but I'm coughing and trying to breathe, as my heart rate is well over 180 at this point. NW sees this and explains that she's a nurse, and I'm clearly not okay, and asks my medical condition what I need. I explained what it is and that I need to sit or lay down because I'm gonna pass out. She offered me to sit in their van, which usually would obviously be a no, but we're standing in the middle of a parking lot and I'm about to pass out, and currently my brain is not getting very much oxygen. She opens this side door and I sit on the edge of the car and promptly faint. I wake up a few minutes later and she's holding my wrist in one hand, checking my pulse, and looking at her watch. I mumble something so she knows I'm awake, and she just keeps telling me it's okay. I'm doing fine. After I recover a bit, I sit up and realize NM is standing outside the car. I think he was trying to give me privacy. I ask for the Gatorade from my backpack and sip on that. Helps with the fainting, while he explains what was going down. He says that the manager showed up with store security, and he explained, over Karen's screaming, what happened, and handed her pepper spray to the security guard, and that the police had been called. I look over and sure enough, there's cop cars pulled to the front of the store. NM asked if I had been hurt, if I wanted to talk to the police. Honestly, I'm scared of cops and just wanted to go home. So I declined to talk to the police or press charges. The NM went back inside to talk to the police a bit more, and I tried to fix my scarf a little better. I had lost a few pins through all this, which was kind of annoying, so I couldn't wrap it how it was earlier. The NW told me my heart rate had been around 200 when I passed out, and luckily it had come down again quickly, because she had considered calling an ambulance. She lets me know NM is texting her, and reads out to me what is going down back in the store. As it turns out, I didn't need to press charges. Karen was so infuriated that NM would help a terrorist B to get away, she got a bit aggressive. She was yelling at the manager, security, and the police officers when NM came back in. When she saw him, she rips out her pepper spray. Apparently they were dumb enough to give it back to her, and is screaming at him. Cops grabs her arm to stop her. She tries to pepper spray the cop, gets taken down and cuffed. NW is positively gleeful as she tells me about Karen getting tackled. Apparently then Karen started screaming about suing the cops, getting the FBI involved, the classic Karen stuff. I didn't get to see Karen get taken off to jail, sadly. My bus pulled up and the NW helped me over to it. Since then, I refuse to go by myself to any store if I'm wearing a headscarf, even though I live in a different area now. Don't forget to subscribe and have a nice day.